Good evening, viewers. Today we have with us a poet, writer, and a treater who brings thought and creativity in a unique way. He has written 7 books, including poetry books like Fugitive, Balconies of Time, and Undecember, the 13th month. His writings have been featured in well known journals and anthologies, and he has also contributed to the literary world as an editor in chief of EKL Review, and he is secretary of Intercultural Poetry and Performance Library. A PhD in English from Calcutta University, he also teaches English at CCOM Skills University, where he is the HOD. He also writes on literature, so his work moves between both creative and literary spaces. It's a pleasure to have a chat with the literary icon and winner of Word Weaver Prize. Viewers, please join me in welcoming Dr. Amit Shankar Shah. Dr. Amit, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to join this show with Ms. Kaushik, and thanks to Mr. Rajiv Anand for giving me the privilege of having this chat with you.
So you're from Calcutta, and Calcutta is also my birthplace. So it's a pleasure to have a chat with you. So we'll start with a very basic question. Your childhood and your life in Calcutta. You've been born and brought up in Kolkata?
Yeah, I was born and brought up in Kolkata, and
Okay.
then it was Calcutta, as you know.
Yeah.
So like the nostalgia, like I have been born in the late 1970s. So I
Okay.
have seen quite a transition of Calcutta since those late period, post Naxal period, till
Okay.
the 80s and the 90s, and then the post globalization and the millennium.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it's like I've had the taste of the pre mobile world, pre internet world, as well as the post mobile and post internet world living in this
Okay.
city.
Okay. So we'll start with like a very basic question. What drew you to writing poetry?
Uh, See, basically, I was interested in stories and literature. So whenever I was in school, the new books used to come. I used to read all the stories, all the poems. Sometimes I used to remember answers by rhyming them. So
Okay.
rhyming lines was one of the uh, part-time activities I used to do as a child. So
Mm-hmm.
making answers in rhymes, and that is how poetry came. So I used to, especially when I was in class 8, I met a English teacher, Mr. Steve Benizes, whose influence on me was is profound, and he encouraged me to write poetry. I used to write poetry earlier also in lower classes, but then he initiated a wall magazine where one of my poems, a plant, got published, and everyone appreciated it. So that is how I got a kind of recognition for writing poetry, and that is how the journey began.
Okay. So that was like in school, and bilkul seriously like a profession. When did you exactly start?
Yeah. So it was around after passing out from class 10 Madhyamik from my school. I
Mm.
joined Maulana Azad College for my HS, class 11 and 12. It was during that time that I came across like the whole history of English literature, the romantic poets, the metaphysical poets, and the Victorian poets, and the modern poets. So that range of poetry, all were British poetry, mind it, okay? So I was not exposed to much of Indian poetry, apart from like Gitanjali or Where the Mind is Without Fear by Tagore and all.
Yeah.
But mostly it was British poetry. So I was attempting to whether I can write like Keats or Coleridge. So that was my first attempt. And if I am able to write like them or near about their quality, then I will I would have been satisfied that okay, I can take poetry seriously. So one article by Professor Taupati Gupta, at that time I did not know who was Professor Taupati Gupta. So that article came out in the Statesman, the literary supplement of the Statesman. So I read that article. It was around 200 birth anniversary of John Keats. So that article, it was about the Attic and how the Greek influence on Keats was there. So after reading that article, I wrote a poem called "I Met a Cherub in My Dream," and that poem, I almost felt, okay, this is very Keatsian. So I am able to achieve a kind of quality in my lines, which which even Keats may have written. So it was reaching that quality. So then I said, okay, like this is I have a calling, I have that talent, I have that ability. So that was kind of vindication that poetry writing can be taken up seriously by me. I have that inside me, because see, writing poetry is a part, a skill, because you have to learn what are the metaphors, the figures of speech, this, what are the form of a sonnet or a ode, or this other forms, or what is free verse. So those are the technical aspects. But the inspiration has to come from inside, whether you have it in you. Many people will have the same experience, but they will not be able to express what they have experienced in the same manner. So, and the way a poet, as Wordsworth has said, a poet is just an ordinary person speaking to other ordinary person, except that he has greater power of observation and greater power of expression. So I understood that I have a kind of power of expression which is a bit above the ordinary people. And that is how I understood that, okay, poetry writing can become a serious business for me.
Okay. तो आपका सबसे बड़ा इंस्पिरेशन कौन रहा है? Who's been like your family, friends, or who's been your greatest source of inspiration?
As I told you, Mr. Steve Menezes was
Hmm.
my teacher in English teacher in St. Anthony's High School, and like his like we look up to him, we still look up to him, and his quality of teaching, his way of inspiring, and his way of encouraging people who who had the talent to express themselves creatively. So those things influenced me very much, and like he became a kind of role model for me.
Okay. Okay.
So that inspiration, so that encouragement was vital for me to take up the stream of literary uh, creativity. And obviously, poetry was, as I told you, the plant. He published that in the school's Ball magazine, and that was how it all began. So
Okay.
later on, there are other poets who have inspired me. As I told you, Keats and Coleridge are great influences. Then the modern poets, contemporary poets, especially Ananya Chatterjee and Kushal Poddar, two poets who have been my contemporaries and whose poems I like very much, and their poems inspire me. So, and obviously the canonical poets of Indian writing in English also, as well as post-colonial poets. So they are all a kind of a whole body of influence on my writing, and it's a continuous process. I'm still getting influenced by every new poet that I'm reading.
Okay. Okay. So we have prose also, and we have stories, short stories, novels. So why poetry over all other forms?
When I started writing, poetry was the natural form, as I told you, because I used to love rhyming. So once I started rhyming, because rhymes are easy to remember. Okay, so if you have an answer written in rhymes, it is easy to remember. But later on, I have written stories, short stories also. I have written academic articles, reviews, book reviews, and all those things also. But poetry is something that is very personal at one stage, and then you are trying to make that personal experience connect with the world with an impersonality, which T.S. Eliot said, the impersonality of art. And that is what, for a, if I write a short story, I can think of it totally externally from my lived experience. But for a poem, it comes somewhere from inside me, something that I have experienced. And then when I go on writing it, it attains a kind of quality that makes it impersonal. So that's why I write, like many of my even prose pieces are quite poetic, because poetry is not just about rhymings and lines. It is the quality of writing that makes it a poetry. That from how the narrative attains an abstraction.
Okay, nice to know that. So, you are also you're teaching English in CCOM University, and you've written, like, you write for anthologies also, and you are also the editor of EKL Review. That's it, I think, an online.
Yes, online journal.
Yeah. So, how do you manage the time? I mean, and how is time
Uh,
this thing?
so actually, when I'm doing one thing, I'm not doing the other thing.
Right.
Like when I am in conversation here, I'm not actually writing poetry, right? So there are compartmentalization of time. Time is important. We have a very paucity of time, and yet there are times when you are relaxing, but there is no inspiration. You cannot write. Like the whole of pandemic, many people wrote a lot, but
Mm-hmm.
for me, the whole pandemic, the lockdown was a sterile period where I could
Mm-hmm.
not produce much. And it was during that time that I started EKL Review with Sufia Khatun and Anindita Bose. Because
Okay.
at that time, I could not get poetry or prose. The writing did not come. So, but some creative expression has to become. And my in that during the pandemic period, my creative expression was the establishment of EKL Review. Like if you see the journal eklreview.com, it is not a simple journal. The whole journal concept of that journal is a very creative exercise.
Okay. Okay. So, आपको how do you get ideas, like through I mean, experience, life experience, or if you've read something, तो ideas आपके पास poems के कैसे आते हैं?
Yes, that is a kind of trade secret, but I am going to divulge it. Uh, the ideas are always there.
Hmm.
They are all around you. How much of those ideas affect you, and how you are going to, whether you are affected by that idea, whether that some incident has affected you and inspired you to respond to it in a creative manner. Not everything will affect you in such a manner that will make you act creatively, right? So these ideas, personal experience. I have a chat with someone. Usually, many of my poems are written when I'm having a chat with someone on WhatsApp, and I fall asleep. In the morning, I wake up, and the last thing I remember was the lines of those chats, and those lines become the opening line of a poem, and then the poem naturally comes. Many of my poems are composed early in the morning when I wake up, before the world intrudes with all the sordid details of the world. My mind is clear, and that is the period when I am at peace, when I can reflect on things, and I can compose poems. So naturally, if I'm composing poems early in the morning, the last thing that I will be remembering is the whatever has happened. If I'm chatting with someone, or if I had a meeting in the evening with someone, so those things come into my poem. If I am journeying, suppose I go from Kolkata to Bolpur every weekend, so I travel by train. So that train journey, the whatever happened during that, whatever I observed, a poem like Silhouettes, where I am going by train from Kolkata to Bolpur, and I observe a young girl standing in the balcony while the train is passing by her house. So that became one of the poems. So this is how ideas keep on coming. But every time I pass that girl, I will not write a poem. But one time it happened.
ओके, तो आप रोज लिखते हैं? डू यू हैव अ फिक्स टाइम? बिकॉज लाइक नॉर्मली व्हेन वी हैड आल्सो स्टार्टेड राइटिंग, लोग बोलते हैं कि ओके 500 वर्ड्स पर डे यू शुड राइट. सो आप ऐसा, डू यू फॉलो रूटीन? डू यू राइट एवरी
No,
डे और हाउ डू यू मैनेज इट?
no, I don't write every day because it does come every day. But during the uh, April is the National Poetry Writing Month.
ओके.
So during that time, especially around 2015, 16, 17, 18, I used to participate in the National Poetry Writing Month. It used to be organized by the Significant League Poetry group in uh, Facebook, and there were
Right.
other groups also. So they used to give prompts. So then, during that month, I used to maintain a discipline of writing a poem every day. But it
Okay.
was only for that a few years during April. But otherwise, whenever inspiration strikes, I write. Sometimes I wake up with the intention of writing, but nothing comes.
Okay.
So
So आपने you've written 7 books and you've written 5 poetry books. So
yes.
Which of the poetry books is the closest to your heart?
Usually the first one is always the
Okay.
closest one, because that gives you recognition as a poet. Because once you have a book with your name on the cover, okay,
Yes.
now that becomes, so that's Balconies of Time.
Okay.
That becomes the favorite.
Okay.
Okay, but there are other books like the recent ones. Etitian Baramasi I like very much, because it is based on a concept of the Baramasa concept of the Indian tradition, which
Okay.
is as I told you, I was inspired by the British poets, the Romantic poets. They were writing about nature. But when I am writing about nature, when started living in Bolpur, my inspiration was not the nightingale. It was the shalik or some other bird, the flowers which were local to Bengal.
Shalik is
So
pigeon.
no, it's a bird. Shalik, it sings beautifully. It's like
Okay.
a
Okay.
cuckoo bird. I
Okay.
don't know the English
ठीक है,
name.
that we'll Google it later.
Yeah, koel and all those birds.
Okay.
So those birds and flowers and all, they were native to Bengal.
Right.
So I was searching for a alternative to British Romanticism, and then I
Right.
found that in the Baramasa tradition of India, which has been there since ancient times, we can explore the even Kalidas Ritu Samhara and all, and so those have already the romantic elements, the nature imageries, which are very, very intrinsic to Indian culture. So that book, Petition Baramasi, I wrote in that format. The whole book is divided into the Indian months. So it starts with Vaishakha, Jyeshtha, Ashar, Shravana, Bhadra, Ashwin, Kartik, Agran, Paush, Magh, Falgun, Chaitra, like that.
Okay. Okay. So आपकी ये जो पोएम है अनडिसेम्बर, It's a very unique name. So how did that idea come to you?
Yes. So I wrote Itishan Varamasi. So that it has the 12 months, 12 Indian months. So I chose in every month 4 poems because those are 4 weeks in a month.
Right.
Now, so there were many poems which, so 12 fours of 48 poems could be came in that book. So there were many poems which were not included in that collection.
Okay.
But we know that 12 fours of 48, 48 weeks do not make a year. So the lunar cycle is shorter than the solar cycle. So there has to be a leap month, which we call sometimes in Indian tradition, there is a Malomas, extra month is added. So then I Googled and found that, okay, there is a concept of undecember,
Okay.
an extra month. So the poems which could not be fitted into the Baramasa, the edition Baramasi book, I collected them and I made that collection undecember. And at that time, Duan Voorhees, a US poet, he recommended a US press. So, so the Muska press from USA. So he made my contact with the editor of Muska Press. So he said, okay, you send your manuscript, I will publish it. So, so these extra poems I collected into these 30 poems. I collected into a month, and I made that into two sections: the Sukla Paksha and the Krishna Paksha. The Sukla Paksha, the waxing phase of the moon, and the Krishna Paksha, the waning phase of the moon. The two fortnights, which make that extra month. So the undecember becomes the 13th month. So all the poems which could not be fitted in the Baramasa came into undecember, the 13th month. So this is like a kind of a book that adds to Itishan Baramasi.
Okay.
And it was excellently published by Muska Press. Itishan Baramasi was also published by excellently by Pen Prince Publication in India. So these two books are the latest in my collection.
Okay. तो आपकी बुक्स का ना I've seen the title of the books, they're very very unique. तो आपको ये टाइटल्स कहाँ से आते हैं, मतलब आप खुद जनरेट करते हो या how do you get the idea for the titles? Really unique titles you have for your books.
Yeah, undecember, as I told you, it came because there is a concept of undecember. If you Google, you can find it that there is an extra 13th month called undecember. So that was how the title came. Itishan Varamasi, as I told you, I was searching for a alternative for the British Romantic poetry, and the Baramasa tradition came. So I titled it Itishan Varamasi because Itishan is a European west, a wind of the west. And Baramasi is an Indian concept. So I wanted to kind of make a bridge because I am writing in the English language, but I am taking the ethos of the Indian tradition. So it's a kind of confluence. So Itishan, Baramasi, the west and the east meet here. So that is how this Balconies of Time is a line of poem, this title. It obviously Undecember is also a title of a poem. Similarly, Balconies of Time is a title of my poem, and that title has been inspired by a line from Ananya Chatterjee's poem.
Okay.
So, and this is how the first book came into being. Fugitive Words is a title that I had in mind for a long time. So, Fugitive Words, something that, as I told you, I wake up early in the morning, and then the words are in my mind. So they are like fugitives. They are running away from jail. As the day breaks, all the words get imprisoned. So they are no longer free. The world intrudes into my free space of my mind. So fugitive words was that concept, and illicit poems are love poems, but they were written during the they were not written they were written during a long period of time. But this book was produced during the pandemic,
Okay.
and the proceeds of this book was donated for a charity, which Linda Ashok was raising money for that charity for Amphan and all those things. So I said I cannot donate anything. I have only poems to donate. So, but the poems cannot uh, be donated to help people who are
Mm,
in distress. So I said,
right.
okay, I make a book, and it is not only a soft copy; it has a soft copy also. So it is a both a digital version as well as in Pothi. So many people bought it. So whatever the remuneration, whatever the money that was generated from the sale of that book, I donated to Linda
That's
Shaw.
nice. That's nice. So, what role does language play in your poems? Like you write in Bengali, or you write in English, or you write in both the languages?
Yeah. So often I am asked that poetry is so very personal. It's about your culture. It's about, so why do you write in English? And
Right.
my answer has always been like I went to APWT conference in Bangalore,
Right.
Asia Pacific Writers and Translators. There also I was asked this question. In APJ Kolkata Literary Festival also I was asked this question. I said, I don't write in English. I write in my language, because poetry is the language of the poet. I use the
Right.
vocabulary of taken from the English language. Words are taken, but many of my poems have words like Bhadra. So it's an
Hmm.
Indian word, or Megha, or these words which are Noyantara. So these are words which are not in the English vocabulary, but they are not too many. But the ethos of those poems are very Indian. So the way I am using the language is not how a European or a British person will use that language. So if I use a word like shy as a verb, that is not incorrect in English, but
Hmm.
the uh, somewhere I use the right, the flower will shy to bloom. So shy I am using in the sense of Sharmana, in the Indian way of feeling that coyness. So I'm using it as a verb, and with not because it's a by mistake. It's a conscious effort to, so that language can be made my slave rather than I become slave to the language.
Okay.
I
Right.
will be the
Yes.
master. I am the poet. So the language is what I am going to and make it my own. It is language is the clay. I am the potter. If I make that language into a pot, it will be a pot. If I make that language into a say another utensil, it will be a something else. So
Okay.
that's why I say that I write in my language, especially
Right.
poetry. Prose for
Mm.
prose and for critical articles and all, that
That you
is
write in
a
English.
totally different thing. But
Okay.
for poetry, the way
I think you've gone on mute. I mean,
just
now it's okay. It's okay. No worries. You can continue.
yeah,
No
the way
worries.
I am using language, the words in my poem is not the way anyone else will be using it. That's why
Okay.
it's my language.
Okay. So tell me something. You've written so many books. So what was your first thought like initially? You wrote the books as a passion for yourself or for readers? Like, okay, I'll write books. I want to be an author, or just your personal passion for writing?
I had a passion for writing, but the first
Right.
book that I produced was 2017.
Okay.
So that is like when I was 39.
Okay.
It was quite late if you consider that current generation,
Mm-hmm.
they produce book at a very young age.
Okay.
Now they have so many avenues of publishing.
Right. Right.
So in 2017, Havakal Publishers approached me. They said, we are waiting for a manuscript of yours, because I was already published in numerous journals. I had won a few awards also. So I said, okay, I'll prepare a manuscript and send it to you. So that is how Balconies of Time happened.
Okay.
So once that happened, then they said, we are waiting for a second manuscript also. So
Right.
then I came to know, okay, so it is my
Mm.
duty to get my work to my reader.
Okay.
The readers will not seek me out. I am
Mm.
not a name that they will seek me out, and uh, like a book is something, especially in the age, in the digital age, where books are, like you can say, they are losing their importance. But I believe that
बिल्कुल
books
बिल्कुल.
still have, especially the hard copy of the book, they still have
Exactly.
a relevance. The way
Hmm.
you can touch a book and read it, it's like making love. You cannot, in Brave New World, you have
Yeah.
these pneumatic toys with which you are making love,
Yeah.
kind of
My
picture.
husband, like, he'd gifted me a Kindle. So I absolutely refused. I said, no, I will not touch Kindle because I'm an avid reader myself. So I wanted the smell and the feel of the books in hand, especially the smell of the pages. So
Yes, yes,
hard copy is
definitely.
definitely very important.
Yeah. So Kindle can be, if you're searching, if you're doing research, a kind of digital book is there. You want to search
Hmm.
this word, how many times it occurs, that is
Right.
fine.
Right.
Okay. If you are wanting, okay, this poem, I should get to that poem fast, that is okay. But
Hmm.
you cannot travel, like, you cannot hold Kindle.
Hmm.
That same thing happens with AI.
Right. Right.
You
Absolutely.
cannot love AI,
Hmm.
right? So the way you can love a book or love a person.
Right. Absolutely. So एक बात बताइए, how have your teaching reflected your writing poems? Like you've taught in universities. So uska how what did was the effect in your writing? How was it inspired or कैसे आपने उसको आगे बढ़ाया?
See, teaching gives you insight into, like, what are you, if I'm teaching a poem,
Right.
I am going deeper and deeper into that piece. And
Hmm.
obviously, since I'm a teacher, I am, as a writer, I'm thinking creatively,
Right.
and as a teacher, I am thinking critically.
Right.
And this creative and the critical, they have to come on the same plane.
Right.
A person who is just critical without being creative is
Hmm.
actually lacking in something.
Right.
So a true development, true education, and all should inspire both those aspects, the critical aspect as well as the creative aspect.
Right.
So, as a critic, if I am writing something, if I'm teaching a poem, I try to get to the, uh, like, how, what is the thinking of the poet who has written this piece. So when I'm reading, say, teaching Kubla Khan by Samuel Taylor Coleridge,
Hmm.
so it is a poem about writing a poem, or for that matter, Philip Sidney's, uh, that famous poem,
Which one?
that sonnet,
Yes.
first sonnet that starts with Astrophel and Stella.
Hmm.
So those poems are about writing poems as
Right.
much as what is the content of those poems. Even if you see an ode on a Grecian urn by John Keats, it also will teach our creative writer how to write poetry. how to merge elements, T.S. Eliot. So these are some of these poets are, when you teach them as a poet, you learn.
Right.
So you are teaching from a critical angle, but you are learning the craft of writing poetry also.
Mm-hmm.
So that enhances my craft.
Right.
So the teaching is a kind of aiding my creativity.
Right. So writing poetry तो बहुत difficult होता होगा because it requires a lot of rhyming and everybody cannot write poetry. So can poetry be taught?
As I told you, the skill aspect of it, the technical aspect of it can be taught.
Okay. Okay.
But whatever is going to come from inside you, you
Right.
have to experience. One has to experience that. One has
Right.
to distill it and produce it in expression.
Okay.
After producing, when you are producing it in the expression, then the metaphors, the similes, the synecdoches, the metonymies, and other things, how you're going to embellish it. And the two things, the skill and the talent, has to commingle in such a manner that it should not appear forced. Okay, ये जबरदस्ती मैंने यहाँ मेटाफर डालने के लिए डाल दिया या जबरदस्ती
Right.
एक
Right.
राइम कर दिया.
Mm-hmm.
So many of the poems, they come instantly. They come just like that, without making any effort. Some of the poems will take time, will take a lot of editing in order to polish it. So there
Right.
are poems which have I have spent hours polishing. They are still in the process. I'm still not satisfied with them. And there are poems which have come in just a jiffy. And like suppose if I when I'm teaching, say Sylvia Plath's Mad Girl's Love Song, it's a villain. It's such an intricate structure.
Right.
And we know Sylvia Plath was undergoing neurosis. So her mind was not stable. And yet, when she's writing that poem, she is conscious of the intricate structure of the villanelle and is able to produce a poem of such complexity. And yet, when you read it, it reads as if it has come out so spontaneously. So, that is the kind of space in which a poet should reach, where things will be will have all the complexities, but will seem seamless, smooth.
Right. So you are from Kolkata and Kavi Guru Rabindranath Tagore. So how have you been influenced by him? I'm sure you must have been.
Yeah, as I told you, during my school days, if I have read an Indian poet, it is Rabindranath Tagore, Where the Mind is Without Fear, Janagana Mana. These are the first things of Tagore that you are reading.
Right.
And then other poets in English, they are all British poets. So obviously, if I was asked to name an Indian poet, the obvious choice would have been Rabindranath Tagore. Because I don't know any other poet during my school days, Indian poets.
Right.
But then, obviously, later I came to know about Nissim Ezekiel and Dom Morris and A.K. Ramanujan and Jayant Mahapatra and Kamala Das and Eunice and so many others and the contemporary poets also. And then Kolkata, Calcutta is all about Tagore. It is his
Right. Absolutely.
birthplace. And then for my work purpose, I went to Bolpur, which was Tagore's established city, town.
Okay.
So that influence of Tagore is in both places because both are identified by Tagore. In one place, Jorasako Thakurbari is there. In another place, the whole Vishwabharati is there.
Mhm.
So you cannot say that, okay, this of Tagore influenced me, of that of Tagore influenced me. I have been living in the city, in the town where Tagore has lived. So directly or indirectly, I am in the space where Tagore's influence is paramount.
Mm. Right.
So I cannot say, okay, this poem is inspired by Tagore. Maybe like a poem like Unseason, which is in Balconies of Time. In
Mm.
that poem, I write as a girl. So I
Okay.
went to Bolpur. I joined Sikkim Skills University. At that time, it was the month of Bhadra, and I was not getting a place to
Mhm.
stay because most of the landlords they said after the month of Bhadra is an inauspicious month. So ভাদ্রকালের পরে ভাদ্র মাসের পরে আপনি আসতে পারেন.
Okay.
So I wrote this Unseason,
Mhm.
and I was I was staying near Ballabpur at that time,
Okay.
and I was on a walk, and I saw a small girl picking flowers.
Right.
So I wrote, in this unseasoned season,
Mm.
it is inauspicious to start anything new. A bunch of Neelkant colors with blasphemy all my closet transgressions. I, a flower picking girl, hide behind my stealing eyes a month of stolen leaves. My worship of the buds is a secret which bursts a blush of ripe sacrilege. Oh Bhadra, be gentle on me. So this influence, this softness, imagining myself as a flower picking girl, writing in that voice of a girl, is something that uh, you will see that Tagore has been so like Tagore's women characters,
Mm.
like he has, as if through his writing he has transformed himself into the voice of those characters. So
Mm.
this is how Tagore's influence, and maybe that place influenced me so much. So you cannot point out, okay, this is influenced by Tagore. It,
Okay.
it's
Right.
everything.
Mhm. तो एक बात बताइए, लाइक व्हेन यू राइट पोएट्री, कुछ आपको लिखने के टाइम पे एनी चैलेंजेस यू हैव फेस्ड व्हाइल राइटिंग द बुक्स?
Uh, the most challenging thing is what to include and what to exclude,
ओके,
because
दैट इज
there
द
are
बिगेस्ट
many
चैलेंज.
poems.
राइट.
Yeah. So what goes in, as I said, 48 poems went into Etesian Baramasi, and there were equal or more than 48 which were discarded. Out of those, 30 again I included in Undecember. And there are so many poems which have been discarded, which are not within the covers of a book. So I have 5 books. So only a small fraction of my total collection are in books.
Okay.
The rest are either published in journals,
Mhm.
maybe total collected works of some time may be published. Then all those collections will come out. And there are so many other poems which are there in diaries and copies, but have never seen the light of day because I have not yet satisfied that they are good enough to go into the world.
Okay. So that
So
brings me to my next question. Journals, online journals. So, and you are a contributor to sorry, you are the editor in chief of EKL Review. So can you tell us something about that?
yeah, as I told you,
Hmm.
that whole concept of that journal came out during the pandemic. I was feeling a bit kind of writer's block, I was not able to write anything. The pandemic, the things that were happening during the pandemic was not giving me any inspiration to write creatively, to respond to it in a creative manner through poetry. So I started with Sufia Khatun and Anindita Bose, and then others were there. Nikita Parekh and others were there. With them, I thought of since we are all locked up, may as well, because we had the Rhythm Divine Poetry Group and we used to organize events. But during the pandemic, events could not be organized. So we thought of let us start an online journey, because that is the online thing, is the new thing that has caught the imagination of the world during the pandemic, because everyone is locked up. So I thought, but we will not start a journal for the sake of starting a journal, an online journal, because there are so many other online journals. It has to be something unique, and that's why EKL Review.
What does it
EKL
stand for?
stands for uh, uh, Emperor Kennedy Legend.
Okay.
So it's a essay. I forgot the name of the author. Just gone out of my mind. But if you go to the journal, you will see that the way the journal is structured, there are tabs where we call the whole journal is given in a taxonomy, just like human species is taxonomic. There is a divisions of the phylum and the other things. So that journal is also given in a kind of taxonomic division. Then the every issue of the journal is like a proliferation. So Florifera 1, Florifera 2. Then the submission, call for submission of the journal are like interventions. The contacts are like intelligences. So the language is totally different. And that is why one of the issues of getting ISSN number for that journal was that our tabs did not have the uh, the names which were which the ISN, the Raja Ram Mohan Institute, they wanted. So this should be labeled this. This should be labeled this. I said this is a creative thing. You cannot have. So we don't require your ISN, because this is a creative exercise. It's not a something that we are doing to cheat people.
Right.
Okay. So if I write submission as submission, then where is the creativity?
Right.
So the whole concept of the journal, and we got rave reviews about that journal, especially from abroad, and obviously Indian poets and writers. But we started with 3 issues in a year. But then, as you said, how to manage time after the pandemic, life became again busy. So now we
Right.
have 1 issue a year.
So tell me something. ये आजकल के young writers, I also teach creative writing to young kids, and everybody likes writing. लिखना तो बहुत अच्छा लगता है. So advice to the young writers, how they can go about writing. What are the like basic, if they want to do any course, या अगर poem, जैसे एक haiku poetry भी आती है. So उस तरह की poetry लिखना अगर हो, so what should they do?
For a young poet, the first thing is to read.
Right.
I also read, got inspired, then started writing. If you just write without reading, then you will be actually repeating things which others have already repeated, which you might think that this is new. I have written a 14-line poem. I will call it a something. But 14-line poem sonnet has already been written. So the reading is essential. Then teaching. teaching is also essential to know the depth of each poem. If I can read a poem, I will understand it in one way. If I teach it, I will understand it in more depth.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Especially like since you teach creative writing, when you are teaching the art of writing, you are also getting a clarity yourself. Right?
Right.
So reading, teaching, and then like we have a lot of workshops. In the workshops, when I was doing my PhD, I was writing everything in the academic register. So
Okay.
everything. So after doing my PhD, when I came back to writing poetry and prose, short stories, I was finding it very difficult. Whatever I was writing was sounding like a research article. Even a poem was sounding like a research article. So then I joined a British Council creative writing workshop conducted by Richa Wahi and others. Other creative writing workshops I joined, and then gradually I got back the creative register. I started again. So now I know how to shift between the academic and the creative.
Okay. Right.
And then my advice to young writers will be that you are reading, you are teaching, you are experimenting with forms, you are learning the craft, the techniques. So you should know I can be a very good writer because I have the talent. But I may accidentally make a metaphor without realizing that this is a metaphor. So just like a child can throw some colors on the wall and it might become a very good abstract painting. But that child will not become a great artist.
Right.
You have to be aware. So you have to know what I am doing, what it represents, what it symbolizes, what is it called. If I write a haiku, I should know what is the structure of a haiku, what is the quality of what makes an haiku, what is the essence of an haiku. Not accident. And that's why when I writing short poems, if you write 100 haikus, if I don't even know what is an haiku, but if I write 3-line poems, 100 poems of 3 lines, at least 4 or 5 haikus will be of perfect, of good quality. So that is an accident, right? Which I am also not aware whether I have written a good haiku or not.
Okay.
But some will come out good.
Okay.
But that is not what is a writer is. A writer is someone who has the ability to know whatever he has written, which is good enough. So a writer should also have the critical mind. He should also be a good critic of his own work.
Absolutely.
He should know between these two words, which is a better word and why.
Right.
So these abilities have to be developed. So that is the development of the writer. So a young writer may have huge tremendous talent, but if the development does not happen, then you will have so many stars who become who get name and fame at a young age, but they are lost because that development did not happen. Same thing happens with writing also.
Okay. So as a wrap up, one message for our viewers and Zena family particularly.
Yeah. So this is my second session with the Zena family.
Okay.
Earlier also, last year also, I had a conversation.
Right.
This year, I'm very thankful to you and this is Rashmi Kaushik.
Thank you.
And obviously Rajiv Anand for giving me this opportunity, for hosting me. And it's a highly like the way the work that you are doing of bringing writers of these chats when you're uploading it on YouTube. It becomes a kind of something that will remain for posterity.
Right.
And young writers can always come, listen to these chats, and gain insight. So, and it's all for free. We are not charging anything. Like if you join a workshop, uh, then you have to pay something, some
Yes,
registration.
the young writers can definitely benefit from
From
whatever you've
listening
like
to these,
spoken,
because
your
these,
insights, right?
yeah, so these interviews, these earlier Tagore's, the letters of Tagore's are so important. The letters of
Mm-hmm.
Keats are so important. They give you so much knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So similarly, these online interviews, and I know young generation may not be interested in reading, but at
Mm-hmm.
least they can listen, they can watch.
Right.
These are like you can travel and just listen, and
Absolutely.
these are the benefits of what you and Mr. Anand are doing.
Thank you. Thank you so
It
much.
will stay for posterity, and so I'm very thankful to both of you.
Thank you. So, Dr. Amit, it was lovely having you on our show, and hopefully, I mean, we are waiting for more and more of your poetry books to be released, and wishing you all the best for your future endeavor. Thank you. It was lovely having you.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. Same here, and thank you very much. So hope you have a good night.
Thank
So
you.
whoever is watching, best wishes to all of you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.